Do I look good here? Is this a good look for me? Do I look cool and casual enough for you?
I wish I knew literally anything about video editing and color correcting. Sadly I don't. My goal for next video is to film in better lighting. LMAO.
Hello everybody, my name is Emma. This is my show. It's called The Shot Circus. It's about basketball. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Today's episode is about the Western Conference in the NBA and my thoughts on how each team is going to be doing throughout the season. It's going to be structured in the same way that my last video was structured, which is I'm going to go through the top 5 teams in order, then I'm going to go through the middle level teams and the low level teams, which will not be in any particular order, but I'm still going to discuss each team. Thank you so much for joining me. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get started. All right, at number 1, we're going to start controversially to get the people talking. And my number 1 choice in the West is the Denver Nuggets. There are many reasons why I picked the Denver Nuggets to be first. I like them the best. I hate super teams, but I also have real actual basketball reasons. Jamal Murray is great. Michael Porter Jr. has a lot of potential that we've yet to see, and obviously Nikola Jokic is one of the best players in the league right now, and my personal favorite player. Now here's why I think they're the team to beat. They have a core of 3 really good players. And I know Jamal Murray was just out with an ACL injury and he won't come back until December, maybe. But I'm being an optimist and I'm being hopeful and I'm sending like good vibes his way that he will have a healthy and prosperous and quick recovery and he'll come back just as good as he was before, which, need I remind you, was really fucking good. But even if we come back with an 80% of Jamal Murray, that can be made up for by the improvement of Michael Porter Jr., who has been getting better since his rookie year. And then there's Nikola Jokic, who's still like a relatively young player and still has room for improvement. And then you have other good pieces in the mix, like Aaron Gordon, who was with them after the trade deadline, but now is going to have a full season to kind of grow and develop and get into chemistry with the rest of the guys. And he's obviously had training camp and preseason, so he's on the right path. Then another problem that they encountered last year was a lot of injuries. So PJ Dozier was out, Monte Morris was out, Will Barton was out, other than Jamal Murray, of course. And even Gary Harris, who they traded in the Gordon trade, was out for a long period of the season. So they were really short on guards, but I think they have more of a formidable guard rotation than they did last year, especially in the playoffs, where I believe they were literally starting Facundo Campazzo as point guard. Yeah, they also added Jeff Green, who I definitely think is an update over Paul Millsap. A little bit of an upgrade, not like a huge one. And they're just a well-coached team. They're really young, they have great chemistry, and they've shown us that they're extremely tough. And I just think they're great, and I have a lot of hope for them, and that's why they're my number 1 team. Number 2, here we have the Los Angeles Lakers. There's also a lot of reasons why I put the Lakers at number 2, and it's mostly because I'm a hater. And listen, okay, I'm not a LeBron James hater. I like LeBron James. I think he's a very close second greatest player of all time. I think he is magnificent. I think that watching him is extremely exciting. Yeah, this guy agrees, okay? LeBron James is obviously amazing. He's great. But I'm basing this a lot on how bad they looked during the Sun series last year during the playoffs. Also, when I was ranking them, I put them 3rd, but that's because I forgot that they had added Russell Westbrook, and then I was like, oh, okay. Here's why they're number 2. I just think that they're an old team. They are an older team that's very injury prone. One of their youngest players, Anthony Davis, is extremely injury prone, okay? I don't know if an aging LeBron, an injury prone Anthony Davis, and a Russell Westbrook make a championship team. I mean, I think Anthony Davis and LeBron definitely works, but Russell can't really play off the ball. He's a great player. He's an amazing player. I love watching Russell Westbrook play basketball, but he has never been super successful in a team setting. And even last year with the Wizards, he was great all season during the regular season, but then you got to the playoffs and he kind of like got a little camera shy or something. I don't know. It happens every playoffs. We're like, what's going on, Russell? Why can you play at this level during the regular season, but as soon as the playoffs start, you kind of disappear? And then it's a question of like, who's in charge? Like, who's the guy on this team? Like, it has to be LeBron, but like, it has to be LeBron. This guy just keeps agreeing with me. But Russell Westbrook, is he okay with being the second guy, or maybe potentially probably the third guy on the team? So I have a lot of questions about that. Again, they're number 2, which means I totally believe that they could win a championship and that they are one of the best teams in the West. However, I'm just expressing my concerns. And then other than those 3 guys, you have a really old team. You have Dwight Howard, you have Rondo, Ariza, DeAndre Jordan. I'm probably missing other people, but you have like a team of like older players who are good. Carmelo Anthony. And I saw Skip Bayless calling them a big 4 because Carmelo Anthony's on the team, and it's like, he's not that guy anymore. I'm so sorry. I love Carmelo. I mean, they're good players. Don't get me wrong. They have good players, but they're just like, the age concerns me, especially in like a longer playoff series, or, if 1 or 2 of these guys get injured, you're running into problems. And then I also saw that they look better when Rondo's on the floor than they do when Russell Westbrook is on the floor, but you can't make Russell Westbrook come off the bench, and you can't really start Rondo as point guard, so it's kind of like, what are they going to do? But they also added some like nice youngish talent. So they added Malik Monk, who I think would be a good starting 2. And then I really like Kendrick Nunn. He was on the Heat last year and has shown to be like a good role player off the bench guy. I mean, I think they have a team of a lot of talent. I just don't know how it's gonna work. It just kind of seems to me like a weird mishmash of like, they took every player with name recognition in the NBA and put them all on a team and then said, fuck around and find out, right? So we'll see, but I do think that they'll be really good, and I'll be watching it a lot. It's gonna be fun basketball to watch because I want to see how Russell Westbrook and LeBron James play together. I want to see how LeBron and AD look coming back from injuries. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be like big lights, gets lots of viewers basketball, and I'm excited. All right, at number 3 we have the Suns, who were last year's Western Conference champions. As a Heat fan, I don't believe in kind of like this like asterisk rings or like whatever you may say, like subtitle rings or whatever. Every year there's injuries, every year there's like different situations and scenarios that affect each team's ability to win or to not win a championship. And I think that the Suns are a very talented team, and I don't think that they just lost or they just won in the Lakers series because of the injuries. I think that even with a fully healthy Lakers team, they could have won. Maybe not in 5 games, but they definitely still could have won. I don't think we've seen the best of Devin Booker yet. I don't think we've seen the best of DeAndre Ayton yet. They're going to keep improving, and the more that they keep improving, the less Chris Paul is expected to do offensively, and so he could just kind of be like a general guy who's like making assists, making the right plays, making the right passes. They have got a lot of like really reliable role players like Cameron Payne, Bridges, like Jay Crowder, and they have a really good coach in Monty Williams, who I think was robbed for Coach of the Year last year. But anyway, regardless, I think that the Suns are a really good team. I'm excited to see them, and I could see them making a deep run in the playoffs this year too. At number 3, I have the Utah Jazz, who last year, what happened to them last year? I don't remember, but they didn't make it that far. The Clippers happened. Paul George happened. It happens to the best of us. But anyway, I think they're great. I think the Utah Jazz are a great team. I think Rudy Gobert and Mitchell work really well together. And I think something that continuously surprises me about the Jazz is that at any given moment, one of their role players could go off. So obviously they have their 2 all-stars, but then they have guys who just like one night might like drop 30. Like, there's days where, like, Bogdanovich cannot miss a shot, and you're just like, wow. So, like, guys like Mike Conley, guys like Jordan Clarkson, Joe Ingles, And then I also think that Rudy Gay is a great addition to the team. I think he's going to be great coming off the bench. I think Eric Pascal is a good addition from the Warriors. Also a really great coach in Quinn Snyder. And yeah, I think they're really good. I think they're a great team. And weren't they number 1 in the West for a minute last season? I have a terrible memory. Anyway, I really love this team. I think they're going to go far, and I'm really excited to watch them. So this list just keeps getting controversialer and controversialer because at number 5, I have the Warriors, actually. My hometown Warriors. If you didn't know, I'm from the Bay Area. I was not raised a Warriors fan, but you know, I do have a certain affection for them because they are from San Francisco area, and so am I. And this is a very conditional number 5. So we have a lot going on at the Warriors right now. And the thing that is most important is that Steph Curry was a fucking beast last season. Like there were so many Warriors games that I watched where I was just like, this is not real. Like this cannot be a real basketball player. It just seems it's truly unbelievable basketball. The kind of basketball that Steph Curry's playing. But then you have Draymond Green, who adds a lot to the team, even though it may not be in terms of like points, rebounds, assists. Well, he actually did a lot of assists, but he's not necessarily like a stats guy, but you can see the difference in the way the team plays, not only in like the plays that they make and the points that they make and all of that stuff, but you can see like in their energy is different when Draymond Green is playing, and he's got something so intangible about him that really just like makes everybody around him better. And so that was last year. Then we have Klay Thompson coming back, and I want to have the same optimism that I have for Jamal Murray for Klay Thompson. However, it's 2 back-to-back season-ending injuries, and I don't think that there is any expectation that Klay will come back at 100%. I really want him to. I wish he would, but I don't think he will. However, even if you get like a 70% Klay back, you're in contention just because it seems like Steph Curry is only getting better, which he's like, 33 now? It does not make any mathematical, spiritual, psychological, scientific, political sense. No, it just doesn't make sense. Now we're going to move on to the mid-tier, and this is in no particular order, as you know, starting with the Los Angeles Clippers, which I know many people have in their top 5. And listen, if Kawhi was back, I would probably have them at 2 or 3. But he's not, and we don't know when he's going to come back. And I have a suspicion that it's going to be a good long while. It might even be next season. Who knows? So this is assuming that Kawhi Leonard is out either for the majority of the season or all of the season. Now, I do not hate Paul George. I'm not a Paul George hater. I think he is an incredible player during the regular season. I definitely think that he is capable of being the best player on a team. I just don't know if he is capable of being the best player on a championship team. That being said, even with Paul George at his peak, the surrounding cast is a little lacking, which is normally okay because your 2 best players are Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, who at any given moment could just go beast mode and literally just take over a game. However, with Paul George out, with Kawhi out, you're going to need to ask a lot more from Batum, Ibaka, Kennard, Zubats, and Reggie Jackson, who are all good players. And, you know, we've seen Serge Ibaka play really well, but they're no Kawhi Leonard, and that's why they're on this list. Next on my list of teams are the Dallas Mavericks, and let's just get this out of the way. Luka Doncic. That's it. That's the point that I was trying to make. Luka Doncic is so good, it makes me want to cry. Watching Luka Doncic play basketball feels like a privilege because it's like I'm alive and I get to watch Luka Doncic be good at basketball like in real time. And then the other good thing about the Dallas Mavericks is that they signed Timothy Hardaway Jr. back, which I think is great because he definitely has chemistry with Luka and has been showing a lot of signs of improvement. So that's positive. The positive things about their offseason. Now let's move on to the rest of what's going on. Jason Kidd, what can I say? He does not seem like a good coach for basketball. He does not seem like he should have the job that he does because from everything we've seen of his body of work as a coach, it was negative. And so what was going on through the Dallas front office's head when they hired Jason Kidd as their head coach, I don't understand. I couldn't tell you. It's a medical mystery. We don't know. I refuse to believe that there's not a single competent coach, like assistant coach right now, to the point that you had to hire fucking Jason Kidd, who, like, personal shit aside, is just not a good coach. And so, like, I'm just sad because it's like you're wasting Luka Doncic, and that should be a federal crime. And then we have the problem of Kristaps Porzingis, who I think through no fault of his own is not the player that he used to be, and also not compatible with Luka. Even if we got like all-star Kristaps back, it doesn't fit with Luka. And peak Kristaps Porzingis is a great player. Luka Doncic is miles better. The next team on my list is the Portland Trail Blazers. And I don't want to get angry, because I did not come here to get angry. But Chauncey Billups, so many things you could have done to make that team better. And the best this front office comes up with is hiring Chauncey Billups as your head coach. The only reason the Blazers are on this list in the middle level is because Damian Lillard is half god, half human. What can I say? Damian Lillard, he's great. He's amazing. He's fantastic. He's one of the most fun basketball players to watch. He's one of the most talented basketball players. And yet, he is stuck in the prison that is the Portland Trail Blazers. Who else is on this team? You've got CJ McCollum, who's pretty good. You have Yusuf Nurkic, who's like not bad, but definitely got exposed by Jokic during the playoffs last year. Man, who else is on this team? Anthony Simons? Derek Jones Jr. isn't even on the team anymore. Oh, Norman Powell. I guess if you were gonna trade everybody else, keep one person, I think you would keep Norman Powell. Here's the thing. The CJ Dame thing, it's not working. I know that CJ's good. CJ is really good, but it's not taking you anywhere. It hasn't taken you anywhere. You have to have somebody else there. And in my dream world, we have a team where Damian Lillard and Joel Embiid play together. And if that ever happened, I would cry publicly. I would log on to YouTube and just immediately weep. But that seems unlikely. But there's other things out there. There's like trades that you could do, like maybe some Raptors thing for like Pascal, or the Ben Simmons thing has been happening. So a Ben Simmons, Damian Lillard duo would be interesting because Ben's a really good defender, which is one of Damian Lillard's weaknesses. And then you don't really need Ben Simmons to shoot as much because Damian Lillard can shoot as much as he wants all day, every day. Who cares? Or even something like with the Pacers to get like a big out of it. I don't know. I'm just bewildered. It's upsetting, you guys. And like, this is my mid list, so I should be like, oh, this team is good. This team is like, has these pieces. And that's the issue. It's like these teams are objectively not that great, but they have one player that is just so immensely talented that they manage to make the playoffs every year. And it's just frustrating because it's like, what could this team do with like an actually like well-constructed roster and like a competent coach? Next on my list, we have the Minnesota Timberwolves. And this is another team that has been dealing with a lot of injuries for a while. And they've also been in the Ben Simmons trade conversation, and I think they should be. I think that Ben Simmons would add a lot to this team. I think that he could be very successful and that he would make the Timberwolves a lot better. And then, D'Lo is not Ben Simmons' caliber, but I think he could potentially work well with Joel Embiid. They're good. I think they're good. I think they're good enough to make the playoffs. I think even as presently constructed, which is Karl Anthony Towns, D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards, and then, some interesting guys off the bench, or Malik Beasley, who's also been playing very well, could make the playoffs. They just haven't due to injuries, and there's a lot of front office concerns, so Karl Anthony Towns might want out, so the chemistry might not be there. But I think if you just look at the roster and you look at the other teams in the conference, then I think you could be pretty secure in. I think if they're all healthy and they're all willing to play together, and Anthony Edwards improves, and we saw him be really good last season, I think that you have a playoff team. So this next spot on my mid-level tier was a tough one to fill, just because obviously the West is very talented, but there's also a lot of teams that have one really good player, and then the rest of them, it's what's the rest of this roster? But I decided that the last team that I would put on this list is the New Orleans Pelicans. And I actually made this list before Zion got injured, but I think that if I hold enough seances and prayer circles, he will be healthy for the season. If he's not healthy, then kiss the playoffs goodbye, because you're not making it to the playoffs without Zion. But Zion Williamson, when he plays, is so dominant and amazing, and I love watching him play. I think he has a very unique style of basketball. I like watching him play with Brandon Ingram, who's also just an incredibly talented player. Just two really young, talented players on this team. And they don't have a bad, bench. They don't have a great bench, but they don't have, a shit bench. And they added Valanciunas, who I think is going to add a lot to their team, because the Steven Adams fit wasn't there. They got rid of Bledsoe, which is always good, because, he never really did much. I just want to see them succeed, because I do really like the players that are on their team. But we're just encountering, once again, another team that has a lot of talent, but the front office is just bad. I was going to say something meaner, but they're not good. And Van Gundy was not necessarily the best coaching choice. I think this is a place where I was thinking, when coaching hires are going on, that Becky Hammon could really fit into this system, because she's younger. She was coached by Greg Popovich, so she's going to have a lot of knowledge about the game of basketball. But I think somebody fresh with new ideas, with a new mindset, would be really good for this team, because you have such an exciting young core that hiring kind of an old school coach wasn't necessarily ever going to work. And I think Becky Hammon or some other younger, newer coach could have really helped this team succeed. And now we're having more front office issues, and Zion wants out, which is what happens when your front office is not good. Your players do not want to stay there. But I do think that if they're healthy and that their coach isn't horrible, then they'll make the playoffs, or at least I hope. And lastly, these are the low teams that I frankly don't think are going to make the playoffs, so I'm just going to talk about them, probably not for too long. The Memphis Grizzlies are good, sure. Ja Morant is good. He's a good young player. I think he's very exciting and fun to watch. But that's it. That's really the only thing the Grizzlies have going on for them right now. They're growing. They're trying to do something. I don't know what. They traded Valanciunas, so they're definitely trying to do something. I don't know what that something is. I want to find out. I need something different from this team. I need a new scheme. I need a change. I need something that's going to make me want to watch them. And at this point, I don't. If I could just watch Ja Morant highlights and call it a day. Next on my list are the San Antonio Spurs, which is an organization that I have a lot of love and respect for. My dad is a huge San Antonio Spurs fan. And yeah, they're obviously not trying to be good right now, and that's fine because they have a lot of really young talent. Like they have Keldon Johnson, DeJounte Murray, Jacob Poeltl, who really impressed me last year. I was like really confused by them picking Josh Primo, but then I was like, the Spurs are like one of the best teams in terms of like getting a lot of value from their draft picks, and they're a really fun team to watch even when they're tanking, because you know that they're going to put a lot of energy and effort into developing their young players, even if it's for like a future trade or to just keep with the organization and make a cornerstone of their team. I think, you know, Popovich is a great coach. I keep talking about Becky Hammon, but that's because I love her and I want to be her, except I'm not good at basketball. Yeah, I just think they're really good. I think that they're going to be exciting to watch. It's not like a team where you're like, oh, they're tanking, or like they're going towards the youth, and so I'm not going to watch them. I am going to watch them because I'm excited to see what they do and like the direction they decide to take. So yeah, go Spurs. Next on my list of low-level teams are another team that I think, once again, not trying to be good right now, but I think that they have a lot of young, exciting talent, and that is the Houston Rockets, who are in rebuild mode after, you know, the whole James Harden thing blew up. But it's kind of working out really well for them because they got Jalen Green, who seems really good. They have Kevin Porter Jr., Christian Wood. So they have like 3 players that are like very impressive and kind of underdogs. And I'm going to watch Houston Rockets basketball just because I want to see how these guys work together. I want to see their process. I want to see I want to see the growing pains. I want to see their upward mobility towards, you know, being a better team. I'm just very excited to watch them play basketball, and I'm definitely going to be tuning in to Houston Rockets basketball. And I definitely think that I forgot the name of their coach. I will put it here. But I think he definitely deserves a chance because I think the whole James Harden situation last year really screwed him over. Steven Silas, that's his name. Really screwed him over, and, you know, obviously the Rockets did extremely badly, but I liked his coaching style. I like him, and I think that he should be given more chances. And I'm glad to see a fresher face in the coaching world, even though he was an assistant coach for like forever, coaching this young team of guys. Next on my list is the Thunder, which once again nobody's really expecting anything from, and I can't name a single person on the roster other than Lou Dort and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Gabriel Deck, but that's only because he's Argentinian. I mean, they're rebuilding. I will watch some Oklahoma City Thunder basketball because they are rebuilding. They're not trying to be good, and SGA is like a supremely talented player that people don't really talk that much about because he's in Oklahoma City. I don't know what else to say. Like they've just been in rebuild mode for a long time, and so the reason I'm not as excited to watch them is because it's only exciting to watch a team in rebuild mode for like a season or two, and then you're kind of like, all right, when's the building part going to start, you know? But yeah, SGA is great. Lou Dort, he's pretty good. Not much else to say. And now last but not least, last and definitely least, are the Sacramento Kings. The Sacramento Kings are the most cursed organization in the NBA, and they are going to remain cursed until they fire Luke Walton. I don't understand how that man has a coaching job in a professional basketball league. They don't have a bad team to the point that they should be like sucking this bad every year. You know, but it's like clearly for as long as Luke Walton is there, they're not going to be good because he can't coach for shit, and they just have young players who need a good coach to guide them to how to effectively and successfully play NBA basketball. But, you know, I did occasionally last season enjoy watching the Kings because of Tyrese Halliburton mostly. I think he's like the steal of last year's draft. He will continue to develop and get better despite the Kings coaching staff. Fox is really good, Hield is really good, and Barnes, Bagley. I mean, they have some talent that's there. It's there. It just needs a little bit of molding. And that's not something the Kings are really known for. So they're not going to make the playoffs this year. They're going to have games that are very exciting and cool to watch, but only because they have young, talented players who are exciting and cool to watch. But they have a coaching organization in the front office that simply does not know what it's doing. And that's that. Well, that's my video. Thank you so much for watching. Starting on Friday, I'm going to be uploading a video that's going to be like a hot topics in the NBA kind of style video. And then Mondays, I'm going to upload a recap of that week in basketball, what games were exciting, what games were legendary, iconic, boring, I don't know, just a recap of which games I'm going to watch. Obviously, I work full time and I will not be able to watch every basketball game, but I will tell you what I know and I will try to watch the ones that are most exciting, most hyped up, people, want to talk about. So that's kind of it for me. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't seen my last video about the Eastern Conference, you should go ahead and watch that, and stay tuned for more videos. Please be good. Goodbye.